What's going on, everybody? My name is Jordan, I like to draw cartoons, and welcome back to another drawing and ranking video. I knew I couldn't get through spooky season without doing some kind of drawing and ranking video to celebrate the season, and today I'm going to be drawing and ranking my top 5 favorite horror movies of all time, but drawing them in the style of Bluey. Earlier this year I did do a drawing and ranking video where I ranked my favorite villains of the year so far in all of movies and TV, and then I drew them as Bluey characters as well, just kind of be like a yin and the yang of these very intimidating villains in the Bluey style, and I wanted to do that again with my favorite horror films. And once again, I am ranking my favorite 5, my top 5 favorite. Not necessarily what I believe to be the greatest, but most of the ones I'll be talking about today, I believe should be in the conversation as some of the greatest horror films of all time. I've been a big fan of horror movies ever since I was in high school, ever since I was a teenager. So I'm very excited to talk about this. I've got a lot of favorites I want to talk about. Got some honorable mentions I want to talk about as well. And if you've seen my drawing and ranking videos, you basically know how this is going to work. I'm going to be going through my ranking, and as I go through the ranking, I'm going to be drawing some kind of aspect of the show or the movie I'm talking about or the characters I'm talking about. In this specific example, I'm going to be taking either the villain of the movie or my favorite character of the movie and drawing them as a Bluey character. But before we dive into that ranking, please make sure to like and subscribe. Follow me on Instagram, follow me on TikTok, and follow me on Letterboxd as well for more of my takes on horror movies and movies in general. You all know the drill at this point. Let's dive right in. Now, I do have a few honorable mentions that I want to talk about in reference to horror movies and some of my favorites that just missed out of this top 5. And the first one I want to talk about is the movie Sinister. Sinister is becoming a film that is scientifically considered to be one of the scariest films of all time. And I think I can credit this film with garnering my interest in horror films, because when it came out in around 2012, 2013, that was one of the first films that I saw a preview for on TV where I was like, that looks terrifying and I really, really want to see it. So that was just really gaining my interest into the horror genre. And this movie is very scary. It's got a lot of really good jump scares and it really deserves that title. So I really want to talk about that and just say, and kind of thank Sinister for maybe being the one that really introduced me to this genre that I love so much today. Another honorable mention I have is the movie Saw. I absolutely love the Saw franchise, but the first Saw really has a special place in my heart. I typically gravitate to the movies that really introduce you to that world, and I really love this first Saw movie. I think the trap in it is perfect. The twist is one of the greatest of all time, and it just set up one of my favorite franchises ever. Another little honorable mention is the first Scream movie as well. Like I said, I typically gravitate to the first ones in the franchise, and I think that the first Scream is also just the perfect film. The more I think about it, I also just love Stu Macher. I think Stu Macher is really becoming one of my favorite characters in all of horror, so I love that so much. I love Matthew Lillard's performance. And I just also want to shout out the Terrifier films, especially Terrifier 2 and Terrifier 3. Those are just outside my top 5 as well. I think in just a few years, the Terrifier franchise may become my favorite franchise in all of horror. I love Art the Clown. I love Lauren Lavera's Sienna Shaw. Love those films so much. So they're just outside this top 5. All right, now let's get into this top 5. Kicking off this top 5 is the original Halloween from 1978. Now, this Halloween really is one of the greatest slasher films of all time, and it's also one of the first, which is so crazy how it really is one of the ones that kicked off this modern slasher genre, and they somehow mastered it right out the gate. Everything about Michael Myers in this is perfect. Laurie Strode is an incredible final girl, an incredible introduction to this character, and we get to see her story progress throughout the entire franchise. And the music in this film cannot be understated in its impact in making this film more scary and more suspenseful. That is kind of something we lose in slasher films these days. They don't feel very scary. They don't make you feel much suspense. But this film really mastered it and really knew how to do that. And the music was a big part of that. It was just shot beautifully. Absolutely deserves to be in the conversation, one of the greatest horror films of all time. And for the drawing, I really wanted to challenge myself with this, and I chose Michael Myers. I wanted to try to draw him as a Bluey character. Just try to take the mask and incorporate it into what it would look like, basically as a dog. He's going to be wearing the blue jumpsuit, and he's going to have, obviously, the iconic William Shatner mask that was repurposed into Michael Myers. And you'll see right over here, the finished product, Michael Myers as a Bluey character. Number 5 all time, my 5th favorite horror film of all time, Halloween. The next film I have on this list is what is really becoming the court of public opinion's favorite horror film of all time, and that is Hereditary. It really is one of the best horror films of the 21st century so far. It deserves to be in this conversation, and it has some incredible moments with incredible performances all around, really. It really is, this entire family is the center of this story, and every single person gives incredible performances. Toni Collette is off the charts. Alex Wolff also did an incredible job. The girl playing Charlie, I really am spacing on her name right now, I apologize, but she was incredible in her screen time as well. And it also has one of the craziest misdirects I've ever seen, because I didn't know about the car scene going into this film, and it absolutely floored me. I didn't know that was going to happen. I didn't know they were going to go there, and oh my God, was that scene insane. So Hereditary absolutely deserves to be in this conversation, and it's absolutely one of my favorite horror movies ever. And for the drawing, I wanted to go off the moment of Alex Wolff as Peter at the end of the film where he's being crowned as this new ruler of this incredibly crazy cult. He's got the nose bandage on, and he's gonna have the crown on as well. And the finished product right here of Alex Wolff as Peter at the end of the movie Hereditary, my fourth favorite horror film of all time. Now, the next two films I'll be talking about are two that I really believe are some of the greatest horror films of all time. And the first one I'll be talking about is Silence of the Lambs. I got to watch this for the first time this year, and I think it's definitely one of the greatest horror films of all time. It's definitely one of my favorite horror films of all time now. It is just absolutely anchored by Jodie Foster's powerhouse performance, and then another incredible performance right next to her in Anthony Hopkins. This whole film is just so incredible. A lot of great performances, a lot of incredible moments, and it's a film that doesn't have a lot of jump scares per se, but it just makes you feel unsettled. Anthony Hopkins' performance is so unsettling. I remember when I first watched this and Jodie Foster's character turns the corner, and the first time we see Anthony Hopkins, for some reason, the way that he was standing, it was almost like a jump scare for me. I wasn't expecting it. It was so well done. God, this film is just so good. And then at the end, Jodie Foster's final face-off with this serial killer, and we see the perspective of him watching her with the night vision goggles. That whole scene is just incredible. And also the misdirect of her being the one that's opening the door to this serial killer. When you actually think that it's a SWAT team who's about to burst into his home, and it's actually Jodie Foster's character. My God, that was just incredible. So for the drawing, obviously I wanted to try to take Anthony Hopkins' character and try to translate this insane character into the Bluey style. And you'll see right here in the finished product, his crazy looking eyes, his receding hairline, and Anthony Hopkins as Hannibal Lecter as a Bluey character, because Silence of the Lambs is my third favorite horror film of all time. And at the number 2 spot, we're talking about another film that I think is one of the greatest of all time. And it's another film that really doesn't do jump scare much, but it makes me just feel very unsettled and very creeped out, and that is The Shining. The Shining is in the conversation as one of the greatest films of all time, no doubt. And it is just a masterclass in horror film making. It is so incredible. Jack Nicholson's performance and Shelley Duvall's performance was absolutely phenomenal in this film. I know it's a little controversial with how hard she was pushed in this film to get the shots that she did and to get the horrified look on her face, and unfortunately really got the job done. Shelley Duvall was phenomenal in this performance, and the whole film builds beautifully into these incredible, unsettling climaxes and incredible, unsettling moments. It's one of the greatest horror films of all time and has so many iconic moments, iconic shots. Man, The Shining is just so good. And then for the drawing, obviously I'm taking Jack Torrance, the iconic moment at the end where he's wearing that red jacket and he's got the axe. That's going to be the inspiration for this. Jack Nicholson as Jack Torrance, as you'll see over here in the finished product, as a Bluey character, because The Shining is my second favorite horror movie of all time. And we are now at the number 1 spot. I'm not sure if this is controversial, if you guys are going to think I'm an idiot, but I think my favorite horror film of all time is 2017's It. There was just something about the energy this film brought when the first trailer came out. This trailer is one of the highest viewed trailers of all time because this is such an iconic moment in horror history because of Stephen King's incredible mind and all the amazing things that he's brought to the horror genre. Everything about Bill Skarsgård's Pennywise in this film, I think it's really one of the greatest performances ever. I don't understand why Anthony Hopkins can get Oscar noms for playing Hannibal Lecter, but Bill Skarsgård can't get anything for playing this insane character of Pennywise, where some of the crazy moments with his face and the way he contorts wasn't even done through CGI. Bill Skarsgård was just perfect for this role. And then this film also matched with an incredible cast of child actors who do so good, along with a lot of great horror moments. It has a lot of great comedic moments as well, which is one of the reasons why it's my favorite ever. It's just such a good comfort watch. It also has great spooky vibes. Everything about Derry in this whole world is so perfect for spooky season and for Halloween. So I absolutely adore this film. And then obviously for the drawing, I couldn't go with anybody else but Bill Skarsgård as Pennywise. Got to go with the big orange hair, the clown makeup, and then a little bit of his gray suit. And then you'll see in the finished product right here, Bill Skarsgård as Pennywise as a Bluey character. For my favorite horror film of all time, It from 2017. So there you have it. There's my top 5 favorite horror films of all time, drawn as Bluey characters: Halloween, Hereditary, Silence of the Lambs, The Shining, and 2017's It. I love these films so much. I love all the other films that I talk about very much as well. I love horror so much. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you guys so much for taking time out of your day to watch me talk about my drawings and talk about horror movies. I love this so much. Thank you so much for watching. Please make sure, once again, follow me on Instagram, follow me on TikTok, follow me on Letterboxd as well. Again, thank you so much for watching. Have a great day and keep on drawing.